All right, so we're going to continue on with our narrative writing. So, yesterday I kind of broke down the process for narrative writing and everything that's included. And today we are going to specifically focus on character development. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at characters that you want to write about. Now, these could be real characters or they could be imagined characters. Okay, but think about who you want to include in your story, okay? So there are two types of characters. We have the protagonist, which we talked a little bit about yesterday, and the antagonist. So the protagonist is the leading character, the main character. The antagonist is usually like a supplemental character, I guess you could say. But an antagonist usually tends to be like hostile to the main character, like maybe an enemy, someone who like contradicts the main character or is opposite of the main character. So in your story, you need to have a protagonist. So who's your story going to be about? And you also need to have an antagonist, so somebody who's going to come into conflict with your main character. Okay, so today we are going to brainstorm our characters. So think about the characters for your narrative. Will the characters be you, a version of you, or completely made up? It could be either one. How old will your characters be? What will the characters look like? How will the characters act? It's important for you to know what your characters will look like because your reader needs a visualization of your story, right? So as we're writing, we're going to be thinking like, what does these look like? What does it sound like? What does it so look like, sound like? I'm thinking of your five senses here. Touch like, things like that. So when you're describing your characters, be detailed, okay? What do they act like? What do they look like so that your reader can get a good visualization, okay? All right, so now let's go ahead and look at the brainstorming page we're going to be doing. So I have it up here in my Cami. So this is the worksheet that you're going to be doing today to start brainstorming, okay? Now it is due for your work completion credit, but you also need to make sure that you hold on to this so that when you start writing, you have these notes, okay? All right, so think about who is going to be your main character, your protagonist. What is their name? How old are they? What personality traits do they have? Maybe they're kind. Maybe they're loud. Maybe they like to speak their mind. I mean, these are all personality traits. What are their physical traits? Maybe they're tall. Maybe they're short. Maybe they have brown hair, blue eyes. What do they physically look like? Okay. If you can draw a picture of your character, that would be helpful for you to visualize. Or if you find a picture that you can use, like on Google, that will also portray your character. Okay, what does your character want? What motivates your character? For instance, maybe your character is an avid reader. So just reading and having some solitude and being like really quiet motivates your reader. Maybe your main character is a social butterfly. So they have to be around people, and that's what gets them moving and going. Okay. Who's the friend of your main character? Who's the enemies of your main character? Okay, and then now we're going to talk about the antagonist. So the antagonist is going to be the main person who is against your character. Okay, they're not the main character because your protagonist is your main character, but this person probably comes up a lot in your story because maybe they don't like your character, or maybe they do like them, maybe they're the friends, but they create a problem for your character. And so then that is the antagonist. So who is your antagonist? How old are they? What are their personality traits? What are their physical traits? If you can draw a picture or find a picture to help visualize so when you start writing, you can describe them well. What motivates your antagonist here? What motivates them? So, what do they want? Maybe they're selfish, and then that creates a problem for your character. So, write that. Who is the antagonist's allies? Who are their enemies? So, list those out so that you can start brainstorming of how you want your story to go. Okay, so that's all that you're doing today is your character development. So just spend some time really thinking about who is going to be in your story and start describing them so that your reader can visualize your characters. Of course, if you have any questions, you can come to office hours, or we have our writing help also on Wednesdays. I will see you guys soon.